Hi, it's Katana's mom. I thought I would try to explain my thought process in something that's more visual. And it's not going to be great, but it's the best way that I can come up with for what it is that I mean. So, spiritual people will say, and I'm sorry, it's windy outside and it's 100 and some degrees. So, I'm going to try and do this quickly. So, spiritual people will say that there are different timelines, and they will talk about how you're jumping timelines. So let's say that timeline 1 is your lowest vibrational timeline, and it can go up to, it's going to go past 6, but let's say, on this piece of paper I have 6. So from birth, sorry, I don't want to litter. So from birth to the end of your life, all right, that's your timeline. And what I was trying to explain on at one point, and probably did not come through properly, is that if I fan fold this paper, right, this is vibrationally going up. So let's say my highest timeline is 6, right? But if I fold these timelines up together like this in a fan, they're all touching. So if this was, and I'm sorry I didn't have clear paper, so if those timelines were on this and I fan folded them, you would see how they would lay on top of each other more clearly than this, but you get the gist, right? So those timelines that I'm going from let's say my lowest timeline to my highest timeline, where people, like I said, will say, I'm jumping timelines, or I shifted timelines, or I'm no longer a part of, this timeline, right? How could we do that? Well, to me, this is how we could do that. But then there's this other part when I think of time travel. So let's say that it's one continuous line, right? What's one continuous line in in science? It would be a Mobius strip. Go look up Neil deGrasse Tyson. He shows you where he draws a line on a Mobius strip and talks about how it's one-sided. The thing is, it's in a loop though. So if it's in a loop, then theoretically, if your timeline is in a loop, here's another piece of paper, right? With all of those timelines fan folded. But if I rolled them up like this, then there are points in that timeline of my life that those different times would touch each other. This is what I was trying to explain. And I'm sorry, I'm not real sciencey that way, but so say between birth and the end of life, it's all rolled up, and a Mobius strip is one continuous line, but it's a loop. Well, it could be a figure 8 loop. It could be, like this. I don't know. It's not something, that's not the part that I can explain. But here's my visual representation. And so if there were portals to different timelines, or if there were actual places on this planet, or some sort of technology on this planet where here's my timeline in all its many forms. I like sliders, the way that they did the different dimensions, like a roulette wheel, and it's like same earth, different dimensions. Well, here's your different timelines all folded on top of each other, and here's the different points in those different timelines or different dimensions where they're folded on top of each other. And how could that still be possible if it's one straight line, if it's a Mobius strip? I hope that makes sense. And if there were actual portals or some sort of technology, that's how this would happen, where you could jump from timeline to timeline, but also maybe you could go from a certain point in your life, or I would assume it's just your life, your timeline. I don't know that you could go past or before your timeline, but who knows? If it's like this, there's portals. If it's touching, you could go from different existences of your own life in different higher or lower vibrations, or you could also, travel through time. Okay, that's my explanation. I hope that made sense. And I hope someone with actual better science and math could put that into something. And hopefully it's planting some seeds, like I said before. All right, Katana's mom. Bye.